A Williamsburg County behavioral treatment facility, mainly working with the most vulnerable among us, children in the foster system and those with special needs, is surrounded by horrific allegations. Thanks for staying with us, everyone. I'm Ann McGill.
And I'm Raphael James. Everything from sexual assault and employees breaking children's bones to understaffing and bed bugs. Broadstep Behavioral Health in Kingstree is surrounded by complaints to the Department of Public Health.
Live 5's investigative reporter Emily Johnson joining us now after traveling to Kingstree and taking a deeper look into that facility. Emily.
Well, Broadstep is a psychiatric residential treatment facility that treats individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And they're also being treated for mental health conditions. The facility stands right outside of downtown Kingstree, but behind its closed doors.
It shouldn't take somebody having to die before people realize the effect that they have on other people.
I want the state to do a better job in regulating and holding these facilities accountable for the way they treat children.
The 40-bed Broadstep Kingstree location predominantly houses children who are placed inside from agencies like the Department of Social Services or parents who simply decide their children need more resources. Broadstep's website claims they believe every individual deserves the opportunity to live a fulfilling, meaningful life, regardless of the challenges they face. But lawsuits and dozens of complaints to South Carolina's Department of Public Health paint a completely different picture.
As a parent, you don't know everything that your child is dealing with and enduring back there. You know, they go through that door in the back and you have no idea.
In 2020, Devo Williams sent her son Justin to Broadstep Kingstree upon a recommendation from their Department of Disabilities and Special Needs caseworker. Only 13 years old the first time Justin entered the facility, he has autism and suffers from serious depression, often having suicidal thoughts.
More than just depressed, I couldn't be, alone at all, because it was like every day it was a crisis. Like, I'm not exaggerating, every day.
He already had so much going on emotionally before he got to Broadstep, and that's why he was there. So then to go and encounter this.
Once behind the facility's doors, Justin says his depression and suicidal thoughts were not only ignored, but encouraged.
When I talk about things that, are bothering me that were done, then it's never handled, it's never addressed. The only excuse they would give you is, oh, I'm an adult, I can say what I want. They felt like they were judge, jury, and executioner, and they wanted to, and they did beat on anyone who they felt disrespected them.
One of Justin's friends in Broadstep was physically and emotionally assaulted during his time at the facility, according to a lawsuit. The teenager took his own life inside the facility on January 25th, 2024.
Extremely angry, right? After that, I cried a lot.
And unfortunately, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Live 5 Investigates obtained the number of complaints against Broadstep Kingstree from 2023 until this year from DPH. Dozens of complaints detail Broadstep employees hitting, falling, and stepping on children, children fighting each other, children isolated because of understaffing, improper medical care, bed bugs, and residents escaping.
Why is it that more vulnerable children go to a daycare, go to somewhere where they're supposed to be taken care of and get this type of treatment? You are having to try and deal with this and put the pieces back together. We were already out of our depth.
One DPH complaint claims a patient was physically assaulted by a staff member and placed in restraints. It goes on to claim a staff member slammed another patient into a wall. Another complaint claims staff poured bleach into a Welch's grape juice bottle and threw it into the trash before a resident took the bottle out of the trash bin and drank it. The kid was left dry heaving and vomiting. Some documents, like this one, mentioning the use of a broom handle, are so heavily redacted that we can't even piece together what allegedly happened.
These facilities are shrouded in in confidentiality and kind of secrecy protections under the law. And so a lot of people don't know about them.
And Broadstep Kingstree is not the company's only location with reported abuse and neglect. At one time, the company had additional locations in Georgetown, Pickens, and Simpsonville, but after coverage from Live 5 News and our sister station, Fox Carolina, now only Kingstree and Simpsonville remain open. Attorney Heather Height has represented multiple clients against Broadstep, including a then 13-year-old special needs child who was in the foster system when her caseworker first placed her into Broadstep's care.
These children haven't done anything wrong to deserve the way that they've been treated.
Inside Broadstep's Somerville location for about 6 months, court documents state the young girl experienced employees refusing to give residents water and blankets when they were cold, even seen other children being restrained and strip searched. The 13-year-old was then moved to Broadstep Kingstree's location, which the lawsuit claims was, quote, even worse than the first one. The girl says she was sexually assaulted by a maintenance man who went inside of her room.
She was further abused and neglected, and it made her needs that were already bad go from bad to worse.
Documents state the young girl was moved again by her DSS caseworker to another Broadstep facility in Simpsonville. And similar to Justin's experience, she would self-harm, and staff would say, quote, why would you do this to yourself? This is stupid. At what point does DSS need to be held responsible for placing children in these facilities?
We have named DSS as a defendant because we want to hold the state agency accountable that is responsible for placing children in these facilities, like my client. Someone needs to be looking into that, to what kind of training these employees are getting.
Looking at a facility with a history of death, abuse, and neglect that DPH has continued to visit, yet allowed Broadstep to keep its doors open, how is it still operating? After a complaint is received, DPH is required to inspect a facility, which is noted in documents that we received. When Broadstep would fail an inspection, the facility would have to provide a corrective action plan claiming improvements and changes were made. Yet DPH allowed Broadstep to still operate as more violations and complaints continued.
I think the people who run these companies, run these facilities, they should be held responsible, because dealing with what you're dealing with, these are precious packages.
We asked DPH for an interview to answer our questions, but it was denied. The department released a lengthy statement that reads in part, since June 2024, DPH has conducted 1 routine inspection, 2 food and sanitation inspections, and 5 complaint investigations, which actually resulted in a total of 8 cited violations. But DPH has not executed any enforcement orders against the facility. We'd also asked DSS and DDSN for a comment, but no response was given. Broadstep employees also spoke to us and came outside of the facility when we were filming video. They asked what we were doing and if we reached out to corporate for a comment. I've emailed Broadstep's corporate offices 3 times for a comment, but no response was ever given. For Live 5 Investigates, I'm Emily Johnson.